So we're going to look at it all through the lens of power dynamics that exist in the world and the vested interest that those power dynamics create and the way certain people or certain groups of people act due to that. If you don't really know what that means right now, then don't worry about it. By the end of the video, I'm hopeful that this will all be clear to you. And I start by talking about my own power and the vested interest that I have as a result of the power and privilege that I have. So, it's all very personable. Hopefully, it's something you can personally relate to. And then I'll kind of expand it outwards and build outwards from there so that you can follow it throughout. This is how I look at the world nowadays. This is quite different to how I was when I was a student, especially as a sociology A-level student. I looked at everything in terms of there'd been a handful of evil rich people that were at fault for everything. They caused all the inequality, and if they were just nicer and gave some of their money around, then it'd be as simple as that. And then I mean that would be good, wouldn't it? But I still believe that would be a good thing to happen. But I think what's changed is that I no longer see evil as a helpful concept. I think evil as an idea or as something to explain why things happen gets in the way of any kind of genuine understanding, to be honest. And I think we do a lot better if we open up that and really look at what is actually going on. I think that's ultimately going to empower us to change anything and to prevent things happening that people might describe as evil. That's the way to tackle it, to try and understand it, and that's my attitude here. So we're going to build up this idea around power dynamics and vested interests. So a foundational idea of everything I'm going to be talking about really is the idea that rather than people rationally and objectively weighing up the facts and information and developing their perspective on the world based on an objective observation of the facts and information and so on, how things actually work in practice, and there's evidence to suggest that this is true, that rather than that, we actually tend to develop political beliefs and other beliefs that justify and explain the life circumstances that we already find ourselves in. Nobody's born in a vacuum. We're all born and we're all brought up and we all live in a particular context. So if you're brought up and you live in a particular context where you have loads and loads of money, you're likely to develop a way of looking at the world that justifies the fact that you have loads and loads of money. You might think that we live in a meritocracy and actually you or your family have loads of money because you're just better than other people, more intelligent or whatever else. And I think on a personal level, I can think of examples where this applies to me. I would encourage you to think of examples where you think it applies to you. I think most people would be able to. And I've put it here, it takes effort to overcome this tendency of viewing things purely in terms of what is good for you and what you have a vested interest towards believing. I don't know if it can be overcome 100%. How can you wrench yourself out of the context in which you live in order to see things objectively? I don't personally believe you can do that entirely. I think it'd be quite dangerous to assume that you can or that you have done. All these people with their biases, I've managed to remove myself and I'm above it all and I can see things perfectly clear. No, I think as a therapist, as a reflective practitioner of any kind, I think it's really important to assume that I don't actually have the ultimate truth and that I do have biases and that I do have blinkers on some of the time. That is what's going to encourage me to always be reflecting and always be open to the blind spots that I have. And ultimately, in the long run, I'm going to learn a lot more and I'm going to reduce those blind spots by never assuming that I'm over it. It's an ongoing process.